The stars above Earth went dark. One by one, they disappeared behind giant shadows that moved across the sky like storm clouds. But these were not clouds. These were ships. Alien ships. More ships than anyone on Earth had ever seen before. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of Haven 7, the biggest space station that protected Earth. He watched the enemy ships appear through the large window. His hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. In all his years as a soldier, he had never seen anything like this. "How many ships are there?" he asked Lieutenant Lisa Harper, who was working at her computer. "More than 300, sir," Lisa said. Her voice was quiet. "And they're still coming." Jake nodded. He had been expecting this day for a long time. The reports from the outer planets had been clear. Someone was coming. Someone powerful. Someone who destroyed entire worlds. The biggest ship in the alien fleet was huge. It was as big as a city. It had tall towers that reached up like fingers, and it glowed with blue light. This ship moved to the front of the fleet like a king leading his army. On Earth below, people were running. The news had spread fast. Everyone knew that something terrible was happening in space. In the big cities, sirens were making loud noises. Parents were holding their children close. Old people were looking up at the sky and remembering the last war. Jake turned to his team. "Send the message to all our ships. Tell them to get ready for battle, and call General Amy Foster. We need her best people." The space around Earth filled with human ships. They were smaller than the alien ships, but they moved fast. The pilots were brave. They had been training for this day, even though they hoped it would never come. Jake looked at the alien fleet again. Something about the way they moved seemed strange to him. It was like watching a dance. The big ships moved slowly, while the small ships moved around them in perfect circles. It was beautiful, but also scary. Suddenly, all the screens on Haven 7 turned bright white. Then a voice spoke. It was a female voice, but it did not sound human. The words were clear, but there was something different about the way she spoke. "People of Earth," the voice said. "I am Queen Lyra Vexithera of the Zephyrian Empire. Your world is now surrounded. Your ships are too small. Your weapons are too weak. You cannot win this fight." Jake felt angry when he heard this. No one had ever talked to humans this way. He pressed a button and spoke back. "This is Admiral Jake Morrison of the Terran Defense Coalition. Earth does not surrender. If you want our world, you will have to take it." There was a long silence. Then the alien queen spoke again. "Very well, Admiral Morrison, you have chosen war." The alien ships began to move. They came closer to Earth, and Jake could see that each ship was covered with weapons, but something was bothering him. The way the alien queen had said his name, it sounded like she knew him, but that was impossible. He had never met an alien before. "Lisa," Jake said, "start recording everything. I want to study how they fight." "Yes, sir," Lisa said. She began pressing buttons on her computer. The first battle began near the moon. Human ships flew toward the aliens, shooting bright lasers and missiles. The alien ships shot back with weapons that looked like purple lightning. When the purple lightning hit a human ship, the ship would disappear in a ball of fire. But the human pilots were smart. They did not fly straight at the alien ships. Instead, they flew in zigzag patterns. They hid behind asteroids. They worked together like a team. Jake watched the battle and gave orders. "Tell Squadron 7 to attack from the left. Tell Squadron 3 to protect the supply ships." As the battle continued, Jake noticed something strange. The alien ships were very good at fighting, but they always did the same things. When human ships attacked from the right, the aliens always moved left. When humans attacked from above, aliens always moved down. It was like they were following rules. But Jake had learned long ago that the best way to win a fight was to break the rules. "All ships," Jake said into his radio, "change to pattern Delta. Do not follow the plan. I repeat, do not follow the plan. Think for yourselves." The human pilots understood. Instead of flying in neat formations, they began to fly in crazy patterns. Some flew upside down. Some flew backwards. Some even flew directly at the alien ships, then turned away at the last second. The alien ships seemed confused. They had been expecting humans to fight like every other species they had conquered, but humans were different. On the big alien ship, Queen Lyra Vexithara watched the battle with interest. She was tall and beautiful, with blue skin that looked like crystal and golden eyes that seemed to glow. She wore a crown made of silver and jewels from her homeworld. "These humans fight strangely," said her advisor, a thin alien with gray skin. "They do not follow any logical pattern." Lyra nodded, but she was thinking about something else. The way the human admiral gave orders, the way he told his people to think for themselves. It reminded her of something from long. How she pressed a button and spoke to her fleet. "All ships, pull back. Do not destroy the human ships yet. I want to study them more." Her advisor looked surprised. "My queen, we could end this battle now. Why do we wait?" Lyra stared at the image of Earth on her screen. Somewhere down there, billions of humans were living their lives, not knowing that their fate was being decided in space. "Because," she said slowly, "I think I know their leader. And if I am right, this war will be very different from what we expected." The battle stopped for a moment as both sides pulled back. In the silence of space, two old friends were about to discover each other again, even though they did not know it yet. Jake looked at the alien fleet and felt that strange feeling again. Somewhere in those ships was someone he knew. But who? And how? The war for Earth was just beginning, but already it was not going the way anyone had planned. 20 years ago, on a world called New Geneva, a 12-year-old boy named Jake Morrison was throwing a baseball in his backyard. The colony world was peaceful and quiet, with green grass and blue skies that looked almost like Earth. Jake lived there because his father worked for the government. His job was to help humans and aliens talk to each other without fighting. There were not many aliens on New Geneva, but the ones who lived there were friendly. Jake was alone most of the time. There were not many other human kids on the colony, and the ones who were there lived far away. So when he saw the blue-skinned girl sitting by the river, he was curious. She was about his age, but she looked very different. Her skin was light blue and seemed to shine in the sunlight. Her hair was silver and her eyes were golden yellow. She was throwing rocks into the water and watching them splash. Jake walked over to her. "Hi," he said. "I'm Jake. I live in the big white house over there." The girl looked up at him. For a moment she seemed scared. Then she smiled. "I am Lyra," she said. Her voice sounded musical, like she was singing instead of talking. "My family just came to this world. We are here to talk with your people." "Are you an alien?" Jake asked. He had never met an alien kid before. Lyra laughed. "Yes, I am Zephyrian. Are you afraid of me?" Jake shook his head. "No, you seem nice. Do you want to play catch?" From that day, Jake and Lyra became best friends. Every day after school, Jake would run to the river where Lyra would be waiting. She lived in a special house that her people had built for the diplomatic mission. Lyra was very different from human kids, but in good ways. She could change the color of her skin when she was happy or sad. When she laughed, her skin would turn bright pink. When she was thinking hard, it would turn deep purple. She could also do something that humans could not do. She could speak inside Jake's mind without moving her lips. "This is how my people really talk to each other," she explained, one day. Her golden eyes were closed as she concentrated. "We can share our thoughts and feelings." "That's amazing," Jake said. "Can you read my mind all the time?" "Only when you let me," Lyra said, "and only when I try very hard. It is not polite to listen to someone's thoughts without asking." Jake taught Lyra about human games. He showed her how to throw a baseball, how to ride a bicycle, and how to play video games on his tablet. Lyra was very good at learning new things. "Your people are very creative," she told him one day. "Zephyrians are good at many things, but we always do things the same way. You humans always find new ways to do things." In return, Lyra taught Jake about her world. She told him stories about the crystal cities where her people lived, and the singing mountains that made music when the wind blew through them. She showed him how to make his voice carry over long distances, the way Zephyrians did. My people have rules for everything, Lyra explained. We have rules for how to talk, how to walk, how to eat, how to sleep. But humans seem to make up their own rules. Don't you get tired of all those rules? Jake asked. Lyra thought about this for a long time. Sometimes, she said quietly. But that is just how we are. The two friends spent the whole summer together. Jake's parents were happy that he had found a friend, even if she was an alien. Lyra's family liked Jake too, because he made their daughter happy. One evening, Jake brought his tablet to the river. I want to show you something, he said. It's called a movie. It's like a story, but you can watch it happen. They watched. A movie about a dog who traveled across the country to find his family. During the sad parts, Jake noticed that Lyra's skin turned dark blue, and water came from her eyes. Are you crying? Jake asked. I do not know, Lyra said, touching her face. Zephyrians do not usually feel things this strongly. But this story makes my heart hurt in a strange way. That's normal, Jake said. Movies are supposed to make you feel things. That's why they're good. As the weeks passed, Jake and Lyra learned more about each other's worlds. Jake learned that Zephyrians lived for a very long time, much longer than humans. Lyra learned that humans had only recently learned to travel between stars. Your people are still young, Lyra said one day. But you learn fast. My father says humans might become very powerful someday. Do you think that's good or bad? Jake asked. Lyra was quiet for a long time. I think it could be either, she said. It depends on what you do with your power. One day in late summer, Jake came to the river, but Lyra was not there. He waited for a long time, but she did not come. Finally, he walked to her family's house. Lyra's father met him at the door. He was tall and looked like an older version of Lyra, but his face was very serious. Jake, he said, I am sorry, but Lyra cannot play today. We have received orders to return to our home world. Why? Jake asked. Did we do something wrong? Lyra's father looked sad. No, young one. But there are problems between our peoples. The leaders on both sides are becoming angry with each other. It is no longer safe for us to stay here. Jake felt like someone had hit him in the stomach. When are you leaving? Tomorrow morning. That night, Jake could not sleep. He kept thinking about his friend and wondering if he would ever see her again. Early in the morning, before the sun came up, he heard a soft sound at his window. It was Lyra. She was floating outside his second-floor window, using her people's ability to control gravity. I came to say goodbye, she said, her voice in his. Monday, Jake opened the window. I don't want you to go. I do not want to go either, Lyra said. Her skin was very dark blue, almost black. But I must obey my family. They sat together on Jake's bed and talked quietly so they would not wake his parents. Will I ever see you again? Jake asked. Lyra took his hands in hers. Her skin felt cool and smooth. I do not know, she said. But I promise you this. No matter what happens, no matter how much time passes, I will always remember the boy who taught me that humans cry at sad movies. And I'll always remember the girl who could talk with her mind, Jake said. As the sun started to rise, Lyra had to leave. Maybe someday, when we are older, we will meet again, she said. Maybe we can be friends again. I hope so, Jake said. Lyra smiled and touched his face gently. Then she floated back down to the ground and disappeared into the morning mist. Jake watched from his window as the Zephyrian ships took off later that day. They rose into the sky like silver birds and then vanished among the stars. He kept the baseball they had played with, and he never forgot his alien friend. As he grew older and became a soldier and then an admiral, he sometimes wondered what had happened to Lyra. He hoped she was happy, wherever she was. He never imagined that she had become a queen. And he certainly never imagined that she would someday come to destroy his world. But in the darkness of space, as two fleets prepared for war, the past was about to catch up with both of them in ways they could never have expected. The space battle had been going on for 3 hours. Human ships darted between the giant alien vessels like small birds fighting eagles. Explosions lit up the darkness, and the wreckage of both human and alien ships floated in the cold vacuum of space. Admiral Jake Morrison watched the battle from Haven 7's command center. His uniform was wrinkled and his face was tired. They had destroyed 12 alien ships, but the aliens had destroyed 30 human ships. The math was not good. "Sir," Lieutenant Lisa Harper said, looking up from her computer screen. "The alien queen is asking to speak with you. She says it's about diplomatic rules." Jake frowned. In the middle of a battle, the enemy wanted to talk? This was strange, but maybe he could learn something useful about their plans. "Put her through," Jake said. "But keep recording everything." The main screen in front of Jake flickered, and then showed the inside of the alien command ship. Jake saw a throne made of what looked like blue crystal, and sitting on it was the alien queen. Jake's breath stopped in his chest. The queen was tall and beautiful, with skin that looked like blue glass and golden eyes that seemed to glow with their own light. She wore a crown that sparkled with jewels, and her silver hair fell down her back like a waterfall. She was clearly not human, but something about her face. "Admiral Jake Morrison," the queen said, and her voice was like music. "It has been a very long time." Jake stared at the screen. The voice, the way she said his name, the shape of her eyes. It could not be possible. But he knew that face, even though it had changed so much. "Lyra," he whispered. The alien queen smiled, and for a moment Jake could see the 12-year-old girl who used to throw rocks in the river on New Geneva. "You remember," she said. "I wondered if you would. I have changed much since we were children." Jake felt like the floor had disappeared under his feet. His childhood friend, the alien girl who had been his best friend for one perfect summer, was now the queen of an empire that wanted to destroy Earth. "This is not possible," Jake said, his voice shaking. "You're supposed to be... I thought you were... dead? Lost? Living peacefully on my home world?" Lyra's smile became sad. "Many things have happened since I left New Geneva, Jake. Many terrible things." On the bridge around Jake, his officers were staring at their screens. Lieutenant Lisa Harper looked confused. "Sir, do you know this alien?" Jake did not answer. He could not take his eyes off Lyra's face. "What happened to you? How did you become a queen? And why are you here trying to destroy my world?" Lyra stood up from her throne. Even through the screen, Jake could see that she was much taller than she had been as a child. Her movements were graceful, but there was also power in them, like a cat getting ready to jump. "After I left New Geneva, I went home to my family's world," Lyra said. "But home was not the same. My people were afraid. There were enemies coming from the dark parts of space. Old enemies that wanted to destroy all Zephyrians." "The Devourers?" Jake asked. He had heard stories about them from other alien species. "Yes," Lyra said, and her skin turned darker. "They came to our worlds like a plague. They destroyed everything they touched. My parents died fighting them. My brothers and sisters died fighting them. Billions of my people died." Jake felt a pain in his chest. He remembered Lyra's family. They had been kind to him even though he was just a human child. "I'm sorry," Jake said. "I didn't know." "How could you know?" Lyra asked. "Humans were still learning to travel between stars. You had your own problems." Lyra began to walk around her throne as she talked. "I was not supposed to be a queen. I was just a young girl who liked to play by rivers and watch human movies. But when my family died, I had to become strong. I had to learn to fight. I had to learn to lead." "So you became a conqueror," Jake said. The words hurt to say. Lyra stopped walking and looked directly at him through the screen. "I became what my people needed me to become. We could not defeat the Devourers alone. We needed ships. We needed weapons. We needed worlds where we could build factories and grow food." "And you took them from other species," Jake said. "Yes," Lyra said simply. "We gave them a choice. Join our empire and help us fight the Devourers, or be conquered and have their resources taken anyway. Most chose to join us. And the ones who didn't? Lyra's skin turned very dark blue, almost black. They died, just like my people would have died if we had done nothing. Jake felt sick. This was not the gentle girl he had known, but when he looked into her golden eyes, he could still see something of his old friend. Why Earth? Jake asked. There are thousands of other worlds. Why? Did you come here? Because humans have something my people need, Lyra said. Something more valuable than gold or weapons or ships. What? The ability to think in new ways. The ability to fight even when you know you cannot win. The ability to find solutions that no one else can see. Lyra's voice became softer. I have been watching human battles for years, Jake. You fight like no other species in the galaxy. You refuse to give up, even when giving up makes sense. Jake understood now. You don't just want our world. You want us. I want my people to survive, Lyra said. And I think working with humans is the only way that will happen. But my advisors believe humans are too dangerous to be our partners. They think you must be conquered first. And what do you think? Jake asked. Lyra was quiet for a long moment. Around them, the space battle had stopped. Both fleets were waiting to see what their leaders would decide. I think, Lyra said slowly, that the boy who taught me to play baseball and showed me movies, that made me cry, would never surrender his people to an empire, even if his childhood friend was asking him to. Jake nodded. You're right. I can't do that. And I think, Lyra continued, that the girl who used to float outside your window to say goodbye would not destroy her friend's world, even if it meant saving her own people. So what do we do? Jake asked. We can't both be right. Lyra smiled, and for a moment she looked young again. We do what we always did when we disagreed as children. We find a third way. What do you mean? I mean we have a contest, a series of challenges. If your people can prove they are strong enough to be our partners instead of our subjects, then we will work together against the Devourers. If not, then Earth joins my empire, but your people will be treated well. Jake thought about this. It was better than a war that would kill millions of people on both sides. What kind of challenges? He asked. 5 contests, Lyra said. Space combat, ground fighting, strategy, technology, and single combat between champions. If humans win 3 out of 5, we become allies. If my people win 3 out of 5, Earth becomes part of the Zephyrian Empire. Jake looked around at his officers. They were all staring at him, waiting for his decision. The fate of Earth was in his hands. And if I say no? Jake asked. Lyra's face became sad. Then we finish this battle. And you know who will win. Jake thought about all the people on Earth, his wife, his children, his friends, all the humans who had never asked to be part of an alien war. All right, Jake said. But I have one condition. What is it? If we lose, you promise that humans will be treated as equals in your empire, not as slaves. Lyra nodded. I promise. You have my word as your friend. And you have mine, Jake said. As your friend. They stared at each other through the screen. 2 old friends who had become enemies, now trying to find a way to be friends again. It will begin tomorrow, Lyra said. May the best people win. The screen went dark, and Jake was alone with his thoughts. Around him, his officers were already making plans, but Jake was thinking about a 12-year-old girl who used to change colors when she was happy, and wondering if that girl was still alive somewhere inside the alien queen. The next day would decide the fate of 2 worlds. But tonight, Jake allowed himself to hope that somehow, against all odds, his childhood friend might find a way to save both of them. The first challenge was space combat. Captain Lisa Harper sat in her fighter ship, looking out at the alien pilot who would be her opponent. The alien ship was twice the size of hers and covered with weapons that glowed purple. Remember, Jake's voice came through her radio. You don't have to destroy him. You just have to prove that humans can fight as well as they can." "Understood, Admiral," Lisa said. She had been flying for 15 years and had never lost a fight. The alien pilot's voice came through the communication system. It was deep and mechanical, like a robot talking. "Human pilot, I am Commander Zix of the Zephyrian Fleet. I have destroyed over 100 enemy ships. You will not be difficult." Lisa smiled inside her helmet. "We'll see about that." Both ships moved to the center of the space arena. On Haven 7, Jake watched with thousands of other humans. On the alien command ship, Queen Lyra watched with her advisors. The battle began. The alien ship immediately fired its purple weapons at Lisa. But Lisa was ready. She spun her ship in a spiral pattern, and the alien weapons missed. Then she flew straight up using a move that no alien pilot had ever seen before. "Impossible," Commander Zix said. "No ship can change direction that quickly." "Human ships can," Lisa said, and she dove down toward the alien ship from above. For 20 minutes, the two pilots chased each other around the arena. The alien ship was faster and had bigger weapons, but Lisa was smarter. She used asteroids to hide behind. She flew in patterns that confused the alien pilot. She made her ship do things that should have been impossible. Finally, Lisa got behind the alien ship and locked her weapons on target. "I win," she said. On the alien command ship, Lyra's advisors looked worried. "How did the human do that?" one of them asked. "She thought outside the rules," Lyra said quietly. "Just like Jake used to do when we played games." The second challenge was ground fighting. Sergeant Danny Rodriguez led a team of 20 human soldiers against 20 alien warriors on the surface of a small moon. The alien warriors were bigger and stronger than the humans. They had better armor and weapons that could cut through steel. But Danny had something they didn't have: experience fighting on different worlds. "Listen up," Danny told his team as they prepared for battle. "These aliens are tough, but they've been winning fights the same way for hundreds of years. We're going to show them something new." The battle took place in a canyon with tall rock walls on both sides. The aliens expected the humans to attack from the front, the way every other species had done. Instead, Danny's team split into 3 groups. One group made noise at the front of the canyon to get the aliens' attention. The second group climbed the rock walls and attacked from above. The third group went around the canyon and attacked from behind. The aliens had never fought an enemy that attacked from 3 directions at once. They tried to fight back, but they were confused and scared. "Surrender," Danny called out when half the alien warriors were down. "You fought well, but this is over." The alien commander looked around at his remaining warriors, then dropped his weapon. "I surrender. You humans fight like nothing I have ever seen." On the alien command ship, another advisor turned to Queen Lyra. "My queen, perhaps we have underestimated these humans." "Perhaps we have," Lyra said, but she was smiling. The third challenge was strategy. General Amy Foster sat across from the greatest Zephyrian war planner, an ancient alien named Counselor Vorth. Between them was a holographic display showing a star system with planets, moons, and asteroid fields. "The challenge is simple," Counselor Vorth said. "You must capture my home base before I capture yours. You have 1,000 ships. I have 1,000 ships. Let us see who is the better strategist." Amy studied the holographic display. "Counselor, Vorth had been planning battles for over 300 years. He had never lost a strategy game. But Amy had learned something important during her years as a general. Sometimes the best strategy was not to follow any strategy at all. The battle began in the holographic display. Counselor Vorth moved his ships in perfect formations, just like the ancient battle plans his people had used for centuries. Amy scattered, her ships all over the star system. To Counselor Vorth, it looked like chaos. The human ship seemed to be flying around with no plan at all. "What is she doing?" Counselor Vorth asked himself. "This makes no sense." But Amy's chaos had a purpose. While Counselor Vorth was trying to figure out what she was doing, Amy's ships were attacking his supply lines, his communication centers, and his support bases. By the time he realized what was happening, it was too late. Victory to the human. General, the computer announced. Counselor Vorth stared at the display in shock. How? How did you defeat me? I didn't follow any rules, Amy said. I did what felt right instead of what the textbook said to do. But that should not work, Counselor Vorth said. Amy smiled. That's why it did work. The fourth challenge was technology. Dr. Bobby Mitchell, Earth's best inventor, was given the same materials as the Zephyrians' best engineer. Both had to build a device that could solve a problem: how to get clean water from a poison lake. The Zephyrian engineer built a complex machine with hundreds of parts. It used advanced alien technology and took 6 hours to complete. When it was finished, it could clean 1 gallon of water per minute. Dr. Mitchell looked at the materials and thought about the problem differently. Instead of building one complex machine, he built 10 simple machines that worked together. His design used basic human engineering but put the pieces together in a new way. When his device was finished, it could clean 10 gallons of water per minute, and it was much easier to repair if something broke. How did you do that? The Zephyrian engineer asked. I kept it simple, Dr. Mitchell said. Sometimes the best answer is not the most complicated one. Now the score was tied. Humans had won 3 challenges, and the aliens had won 1. Everything depended on the final challenge: single combat. Jake stood in the arena on Haven 7, wearing simple fighting clothes and holding a metal rod as his weapon. Across from him was the Zephyrians' greatest warrior, a huge alien named Champion Krex, who had never lost a fight. But as Jake prepared for battle, Queen Lyra's voice came through the communication system. Stop, she said. I will fight the final battle myself. Her advisors looked shocked. My queen, that is not necessary. Champion Krex can easily defeat the human. No, Lyra said firmly. If we are going to decide the fate of both our peoples, then I will fight for my people myself. A transport ship brought Lyra down to Haven 7. When she stepped out, Jake saw her in person for the first time in 20 years. She was even taller than she had looked on the screen, and her blue skin seemed to glow with its own light. She carried a weapon that looked like a sword made of crystal. Hello, Jake, she said softly. Hello, Lyra, Jake replied. They walked to the center of the arena. Around them, thousands of humans and aliens watched on screens, waiting to see who would win. Are you sure about this? Jake asked. Champion Krex looked pretty tough. Lyra smiled. Do you remember when we used to play fight with sticks by the river? You never let me win, even though I was your friend. That wouldn't have been fair to you, Jake said. And it would not be fair now, Lyra said. So we will fight, and whoever wins will win fairly. They raised their weapons and began to circle each other. The fate of 2 worlds hung in the balance, and only one of them could win. But as they prepared to fight, both Jake and Lyra were thinking the same thing. No matter who won, they hoped their friendship would survive. The arena was silent. Jake and Lyra moved in a slow circle, watching each other carefully. Jake held his metal rod in both hands. Lyra's crystal sword gleamed in the light from above. Do you remember the rules we used when we were children? Lyra asked as they circled each other. First one to touch the ground with anything except their feet loses, Jake said. That's right. Lyra's golden eyes never left Jake's face. Are you ready, old friend? As ready as I'll ever be, Jake said. Lyra moved first. She was incredibly fast, much faster than any human could be. Her crystal sword swept toward Jake's head in a silver arc. But Jake had been expecting this. He rolled to the side and swung his metal rod at her legs. Lyra jumped over his attack and landed gracefully 3 feet away. You're still quick, she said. You're still faster than me, Jake replied, breathing hard already. They fought for several minutes with Lyra attacking and Jake defending. Her alien strength and speed were much greater than his, but Jake had something else. He had the memory of every fight he had ever been in, and the ability to think of new solutions in the middle of battle. When Lyra swung her sword from the right, Jake ducked and attacked from the left. When she jumped high to attack from above, Jake rolled away and came up behind her. He could not match her strength, but he could be unpredictable. You fight differently now, Lyra said during a moment when they were both catching their breath. I had to learn, Jake said. The galaxy is a dangerous place. Yes, it is, Lyra said sadly. I learned that too. They began to fight again, harder this time. Lyra's crystal sword left bright lines in the air as she swung it. Jake's metal rod rang like a bell every time it blocked her attacks. But Jake was getting tired. He was only human and Lyra was much stronger. Sweat ran down his face and his arms were starting to feel heavy. Lyra saw this and pressed her attack. She moved faster and faster, forcing Jake to give ground. Soon he was backed against the wall of the arena. I'm sorry, Jake, Lyra said, raising her sword for the final attack. I don't want to hurt you, but I have to think of my people. Jake looked up at her, and for a moment he saw not the alien queen but the 12-year-old girl who used to cry at sad movies. I know, Jake said, and I understand why you do what you do, but I can't give up either. My people need me to fight. Lyra brought her sword down toward Jake's shoulder. If it hit, the fight would be over. But at the last second, Jake did something that surprised her. Instead of trying to block or dodge, he stepped forward and grabbed her wrist with his free hand. Now they were very close to each other, too close for Lyra to use her sword properly. Jake looked into her golden eyes and spoke very quietly, so only she could hear. Do you remember what you told me the night before you left New Geneva? He asked. Lyra's eyes widened. She remembered. I said that no matter what happened, no matter how much time passed, I would always remember the boy who taught me that humans cry at sad movies. And I said I would always remember the girl who could talk with her mind, Jake whispered. That girl was kind. She was gentle. She cared about others, even if they were different from her. Lyra's sword began to shake in her hand. That girl was weak. She could not protect her people. No, Jake said firmly. That girl was strong. She was strong enough to be friends with someone completely different from herself. She was strong enough to care about others. And I think that girl is still inside you somewhere. Tears began to form in Lyra's golden eyes. Jake, you don't understand. If I don't conquer your world, my people will die. The devourers will find us and destroy us. Then don't conquer us, Jake said. Ask for our help. Lyra stared at him. What? Ask for our help, Jake said again. You've seen how humans fight. You've seen how we think. You know we never give up. So instead of making us your subjects, make us your partners. My advisors will never agree to that, Lyra said. Your advisors don't have to live with the decision for the rest of their lives, Jake said. You do. And I think the girl who used to float outside my window to say goodbye would rather have friends than slaves. Lyra looked around the arena. Thousands of people were watching, waiting to see what she would do. On the screens, she could see her advisors looking angry and confused. Then she looked back at Jake and she made her choice. Lyra stepped back and lowered her sword. I surrender, she said in a loud, clear voice. The arena erupted in noise. Humans cheered and shouted. On the alien ships, the Zephyrian advisors argued with each other in their musical language. But Jake and Lyra only looked at each other. Are you sure? Jake asked. I'm sure, Lyra said. You won the fight before it even started. You reminded me of who I used to be. Jake smiled and held out his hand. Friends? Lyra smiled back and shook his hand. Her skin felt cool and smooth, just like it had when they were children. Friends? But their friendship was about to be tested again. Lyra's advisors were not happy about her decision. The head advisor, a tall alien with silver skin, appeared on the arena's communication screen. My queen, he said angrily. You cannot do this. Our people need resources and soldiers to fight the devourers. These humans must be conquered. No, Lyra said firmly. They will be our allies, not our subjects. Admiral Morrison, will humanity help us fight the devourers? Jake thought about this. The devourers were dangerous to all life in the galaxy, not just aliens. And if humans could help stop them, then it was the right thing to do. Yes, Jake said, but as equals, we work together, or not at all. Agreed, Lyra said. Her advisor looked furious. This is madness. Humans are too primitive to be useful allies. Really? Lyra asked. Then explain how they won 4 out of 5 challenges against our best people. The advisor had no answer for that. Over the next several hours, Jake and Lyra worked together to create a new alliance. The Zephyrian Empire would share their advanced technology with humanity. In return, humans would help fight the Devourers and share their knowledge of creative problem-solving. It was not easy. Many aliens thought humans were too dangerous to trust. Many humans thought the aliens just wanted to trick them. But Jake and Lyra kept working, remembering the friendship they had shared as children. Finally, the agreement was signed on Haven 7. Representatives from both species watched as Jake and Lyra put their names on the document that would change the future of the galaxy. You know, Jake said as they finished signing. We never did finish that baseball game we started 20 years ago. Lyra laughed, and her skin turned bright pink the way it used to when she was happy. I think I owe you a rematch. Maybe later, Jake said. Right now we have a galaxy to save. Together, Lyra said. Together, Jake agreed. As the two friends walked out of the arena together, followed by representatives from both their peoples, Jake thought about how strange life could be. He had woken up that morning expecting to die in a hopeless battle. Now he was walking beside his childhood friend, planning to save the galaxy. Behind them, the human and alien fleets began to work. Together for the first time, engineers shared designs. Doctors compared medical knowledge. Soldiers taught each other new fighting techniques. It would not be easy. There would be problems and arguments and misunderstandings. The Devourers were still out there, still dangerous. But for the first time in years, Jake felt hopeful about the future. Do you really think we can win against the Devourers? He asked Lyra as they walked. Lyra smiled and her golden eyes sparkled. I think that when humans and Zephyrians work together, we can do anything. After all, we managed to turn a war into a friendship. How hard can saving the galaxy be? Jake laughed. When you put it that way, it sounds easy. Nothing is easy, Lyra said. But with good friends, even impossible things become possible. They walked together toward the future. 2 old friends who had found each other again, ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy might bring. And somewhere in the distance, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if the universe itself was happy that war had become friendship and enemies had become allies. The story of the human admiral and the alien queen was just beginning. But already it was clear that together, they could change the galaxy forever.